Welcome to America's favorite doctor and nurse radio show, where we talk about the medical issues of the day.
And welcome to America's favorite doctor and nurse. I'm your host, Rocky Parks, along with my sidekick, Zach Anise.
Good morning, Rock.
Good morning, Zach. How are you this morning?
I'm doing all right.
Hey, listen,
so
I want to,
good.
yeah, I want to introduce to the listeners out there and to my colleague, Zach, who hasn't had any time to get acquainted with our guest today, a Mr. David Jubb. Good morning, David.
Good morning. Good morning, Rocky, and good morning, Zach. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, so listen, David Jubb is a neurophysical physiologist.
Neurobehavioral physiologist.
Oh, yeah. What'd I say?
You said neurophysical physiologist. It's all right.
Oh,
no confusion.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's common language, isn't it? We all should be in common language, absolutely. Because otherwise, your listeners really appreciate it. You're just really going to say things just like how it is.
Oh, yeah, down to earth. And that's what the show's all about.
Yeah. No, I reckon actually that's the best way, isn't it? Really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, David, education. We could start there. How did you become someone in this field of things?
I grew up on an island in isolation, and I never had any education until I was 14.
And that's not the name of the island, correct?
Yeah, Long Island.
There you go.
Bass Strait.
Isn't that off New York?
In Bass Strait between Tasmania and the mainland of Australia. A lot of names go back way more than the founding of the nation. Like Appalachian is on maps that's in the BC era, and the names of various places and things like San Francisco also, and lots of names here, especially because, we weren't wiped out in Noah's flood, not as much. Especially Canada wasn't. Canada is much older than Canaan in the Middle East, which was wiped out in 2008 BC.
This birthplace or island that you speak of has an educational institute that you graduated from?
What I did was, that's exactly right. I was educated by nature fully first. I saw a red blood corpuscle inside an egg, and then I saw a 12-day-old egg, 600% more nutrient and mineral in the egg, and it never took it from the shell, Rocky.
So okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I would want to be raised by nature in Australia. I'd probably be some kind of like platypus.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, we've got the most poisonous sort of snakes, and
without a doubt.
I would my family go 3/4 of the way to Africa, on boats, stuff, fishing and things in the ocean. So that's sort of the environment that I grew up in. But I didn't really fit maybe there or whatever. Perhaps I could, but I was shipped across to the mainland of Australia, and that's when I started an education. And it was just me.
So what is your education?
Starting my education. I'm a neurobehavior physiologist, but I'm a foremost expert in the world in blood formation and also the smallest pixelated dot in space. Yeah.
Let's stick with the neurophysiologist. Exactly what does one do when they're in that field?
What I did was, long before there was a single positron electron tomographic types of equipment that could measure how your brain functioned whilst you thought. And then eventually, what I did was to do research so that I could tell exactly what areas of your brain you're using just by your movements and behavior and the things that you said. And so that I developed instrument for whole brain patterning, and I looked into what exceptional brain function is in comparison to just normal brain function. Yes?
How many sectors of the brain is there?
Well, it's dimensional, and you've got 26 dimensions. A dimension is a fold over something else. So a membrane. The brain of a colloid is its membrane. That's the brain, and that's your brain too. It does perform a job which the body does as well. So it's it performs a preferential role in being able to, determine what you do. But like, for instance, to our listeners, there's a functional plasticity, right? Meaning you can mold your brain to pick a pattern out. The brain is going to do that, and you'll be surprised. Oh, I saw the pattern. It's like, well, how did it happen? It picked that pattern out. Like, let's just imagine for a moment that you've got a picture in front of you. It's like one of those stereograms, yeah? Okay. And it's just a one-dimensional dot diagram. God help us, just looking at it, yeah? You're an adult, but let's say you're a child. You're going to pick that picture out fast. Because why? Because you've still got peripheral focus going on. You did not go to school at 6 and learn to shut your brain down, which is wrong. Okay, why don't you think about that?
Well, do you lose your physical, your peripheral focus when you grow up?
That's absolutely correct. 97% of people lose their peripheral vision.
Are you saying so? But the schools are doing that. Education is doing that.
Yeah. Look, listen, I'm a magician. I did stage hypnosis and crowd hypnosis. You see, so you're only just doing it in the moment, right there in the room. And you've learned so much that you could actually talk to somebody and you could actually pull things out. Why? Well, because you could see what's going on. You could read the person like a book. This is long before medical intuitives come along.
Have you studied? Have you studied most sectors of the brain? Have you?
I'm the one person in the world that has got the most scientific taxonomy of our sensory-motor complex. For instance, you're not going to talk to anybody else who understands how the vestibular system is used in forward, back, up, down, and how words are used, which relate to the vestibular system, which is whole brain patterning. It's not neurolinguistics, but it is in the field of that. But it's way more than that. Why? Well, because it's not lexical. It's shifting over into body language, nonverbals.
David Jubb,
nonverbals.
That was a hell of a statement. The one person in the world. So now, can you? I want to go a little deep here.
Yeah, sure.
Can you?
Because if you say that, you must have understood and read all the literature in the world about this topic, and then you could be an expert. Otherwise, man,
I see.
Say you're an expert. Yeah, right.
My question to you is there any type of like fortune telling in the brain? Can you see the future?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And why I brought this to your attention is because Texas and Michigan is playing today, and I want to know who's going to win.
Yeah, we got to get the betting lines.
Well, yeah, that's true, because first, the house always wins. Now,
the house wins, you said?
Yes, it does. Of course it does.
Wow.
2.5 bill is going to be sucked from a pocket from a resident.
I need to tell my listeners that Texas is at home today.
Some people are going, so your odds are between
Michigan's at home today,
and 40% of what somebody's doing and how they bet. But so you can increase your odds, but you're never going to beat the house. You see what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So
that's an old quote, insane in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, because it's like gardening.
It's stacked against you, huh?
It's addictive. It's sort of an addictive behaviour. But could you imagine, actually, in the time past, every degenerate society was only sort of based a lot in around betting and gambling, and they would gamble their lives away.
Well, listen, I'm talking to an individual that was born off the coast of Australia and raised by nature. So is nature... How do we stack up against nature being the house?
Oh, fantastic. First, nature is decentralized. It is not centralized whatsoever. Second, nature is involuted, not evoluted. Okay?
Got it.
No, sorry. You've got to be math, then stick with it. There's only one math. There's 10,000.
David, I'm sorry, too. We need to break for a word from one of our sponsors right now. We'll be right back with David Jubb.
Right back with you.
Today's show was brought to you by the Peak Health Group. For Peak Health's sake, stay healthy and call now. 702-625-4334. For the best healthcare in town, go to peakhealthmd.com. Reach your peak with the Peak Health Group. Call 702-625-4334.
And welcome back to America's Favorite Doctor and Nurse with my guest star, Mr. David Jubb. David, today's subject is, what is it?
Are we prisoners
of our own
health, in our own body?
Yeah. Are we, to elaborate on that, I almost didn't get that out. I was going to change the wording there. But
that's pretty good, actually. But
yeah, so when
son is there,
you know what I'm up against, and I think a lot of people are up against this, and I try to teach this, that when you carry a disease pathogen, a crippling, a default with you so long,
right,
whether it be 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, and you get it cured or fixed. It seems to be that you're still carrying it mentally, spiritually, mentally.
Yes.
Your mind is still, if you get a leg fixed, and it's fixed on Tuesday, it's not fixed to the human brain until like maybe 3 months later. Do you catch my drift? Like there's still baby in the leg.
Something is always a conflicted part that could be, like you point out. We have an all or nothing phenomenon, and so 78% of your nervous system has to be behind the axon hillock so that it could ever get passed on. A message could get passed on. Just imagine.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
77% of yourself, and it's a lot, isn't it? You really want to do something, but 23% of yourself is against. And so sorry, it's not going to get passed on. Now, just imagine that you allow 22% to be against. How good is that? How wonderful. How wonderful. Why? Because it's going to get passed on. Going to get passed on.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
We had a guest.
78% of your nervous system.
Yeah, we had a guest on our last show talking about brain detox. I'm thinking when you do the detox for your brain, clarity comes about and messages get passed on.
Okay, you've got to have H3O2. There's 3 types of water. Life hydrate is a substance like really osmolytic. It's the only thing that can pass through the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier. Now, how small is it that something can pass through the blood-brain barrier?
Quite small.
Neoplastic condition and things just like that. It is a molecule that's so small, it's as small as H3O2.
Beyond nano.
What's that? That's water. That's life hydrate. That's life water. Life water, one word. And it actually is, water can be in 3 shapes, basic, as you know. And as it's in its H3O2 state, it's got it in a plasma state more, and it's in its finest memory. It's older than the sun, that memory. And water is older than the sun, of course. Now, that water is so fine that it absolutely crystallizes the structure of the glymph of the brain. Now, the glymph channel of your brain has channels which is about 70 nanometers wide. And now, my God, that's pretty small. It's really, really small. And the only thing that opens that up is carbon dioxide. Plus
carbon dioxide.
Yeah, plus nitrous oxide. So, nitrous oxide.
Oh, nitrous oxide.
You're laughing and you really feel happy you're laughing. If you're laughing, you feel happy, you've got a happy face inside sort of thing. You're producing osmolytic element. Now, what's an osmolytic element? Like when you open up your fridge, is there any osmolytic element in there? Oh, my God, maybe not. How bad is that? But if you were in nature, you certainly would be opening up something and you'd see osmolytic elements there. But what's there, could that come to be an osmolytic element? An osmolytic element really is a substance that's going to pass right through the 3 membranes of your body.
So what you're saying, for our listeners is water, H2O, is a very important ingredient for the brain. Yes,
H3O2.
H3O2. So I can't get this water from the drinking fountain, you're saying?
No, you start to hear about it a bit more. They'll call it all sorts of things like e-water, all sorts of stuff, but it's not. It's life water. That's it. One word. It's a noun. It's not a fiction. It's one word, life water. And that life water is H3O2. It's equal to that. And there's two other types of water. But now your brain, your body, inside a tomato, you're only going to have H3O2. Why is that? Because it has not seen light. It's not seen light.
That's correct.
It cannot. Sorry. And when water is in the ground and you've got shade, water's going to come to the surface of the earth. Now, you've got far infrared. And far infrared is the primary element on the periodic chart, like all the dust that's burning in the corona. Yes, it's exact. It's exact. It fits and it organises the water of your body to become more osmolytic. Now, if it's not osmolytic, it means it's not what? It's not going to pass through any membrane. Is a pill going to pass through a membrane? Not really. And if it does, it's a sediment, is it? It's a sediment because it can't sort of get in there. But yours and my brain, we have a placebo effect like you were talking about, Rocky. And let's always keep that placebo effect. Why should somebody be anti-placebo effect? Because 32% is actual. That's in the drawer of a researcher, and they say, hey, man, this is not 99%. This is not in the 99%. This is not in the 95%. What the hell? Big deal.
Yeah, what is the big deal?
32% is the success that modern medicine has.
I see.
Which is the art of keeping people amused while nature takes its course.
David.
And so just that of itself, you go.
Medical prisoner. Topic of the day. Subject of the day. How we are captive in our own bodies, in our own health, in our own weaknesses, diseases, pathogens, how one can break out. And is the human captivated by or a captive, a prisoner of their own health? Can you answer that question?
Yes, absolutely. First, all disease, disruption to ease, is a mental construct.
Bingo.
When you die, somebody just sleeps. They fall asleep, okay. But so many people are fearful of falling asleep when they're young until they learn, it's okay to fall asleep because you're going to wake up tomorrow or something. But and then that sort of is a synesthesia, and so that no longer has a fear for you. But Bambi sometimes never forgets where the tiger is. And so can that be resolved? Yes, it can. If you build a large enough resource state, you can collapse any stuck state into that. Mm-hmm. And so you could just build that with a synesthesia. But the very things which people should be focused on more where health is what is an osmolytic element, because I do need that. That's something. It's enzymatically active. It's really a nutrient which has got three properties: permittivity, which it holds a charge, which is supposed to. Good. Carbon and silica does that. If it doesn't have that, that's going to be not right. It is also has to be amphoteric. What does that mean? It means that it's neutral. That's what an osmolytic element is, because it's got to pass through the membrane. It's got to be neutral. But it has a capacity to pull a south positive or a north negative out of itself where it needs to. So that's what that means, amphoteric. Amphiphilics means got to mix with a resin, got to mix with an oil, got to mix with oil.
Yeah.
And now, what can do that? You see, what can do that? Wow, sorry, but you need to be able to do that. Why? Well, because you've got rhodium, osmium, and ruthenium, which are these white gold elements, and that is so important. It puts a corona around all the cells and all your red blood corpuscles.
David, I love that you sort of ask a question and answer it. That's great. That's great for our listeners, because myself listening to you, I almost feel like Bambi, you know?
Yeah.
So David, you're saying this is the key. This is the key, though, to break out of the prison that we're in. The osmolytic elements.
eye awareness is because I is held in the fourth dimension, and material does not stop at hydrogen.
Yeah,
okay?
That's right.
Okay, so let's just relax for a second and go all the way from the largest element, like which I've experimented with and worked with, and I understand, and that is a binillium and bibinillium, and you've got 200 and 220. Those are heavy elements, which they are produced in a thousandth of a second.
David, we're gonna break for a word from one of our sponsors, but I want to be right back with you with what Zach had asked you. We'll be right back.
Yeah, exactly.
This portion of America's Favorite Doctor and Nurse is brought to you by Rocky's Fresh Bar Mix. Their sweet and sour and fresh watermelon has been #1 in Las Vegas for over 28 years. A drink is not a cocktail until it's made with Rocky's. Call Rocky's at 702-400-6488.
Back with you with America's Favorite Doctor and Nurse, and back with you with Mr. David Jubb. David, Zach had, before break, asked a question about what is the key to break out from our physical imprisonment when it comes to health?
It is to first recognize that you're empty. And this is your original condition, so don't put anything in there. So we have an intelligence way the hell beyond lexical, like everybody's lexical. What does that mean? I mean, it's like we're doing things right now with words, but there's a space that's in between the words that you could feel as being lived, you see, and how relaxed somebody's shoulders are, how relaxed your tummy is whilst you're listening to this is a kinesthetic intelligence. And now the mind, when you've gone beyond the mind, there is no pain. And so why? Because there's no need, none.
That's right.
Got rid of it. And so let's just say that something happens to you, like you get a mosquito bite, okay? Now, a great leader is not going to fall over because she got a mosquito bite, okay, or him. But somebody's going to fall over because they got a mosquito bite. They're going to be just an elephant is very afraid of a little spider. Okay, little spider.
Are we talking anything for our listeners? Something simple like mind over matter?
Yeah, it is actually that I is empty and am is only 50% of yourself, and that's simply care. And so it's sort of magnetic. You're in a magnetic moment. And so when you say I am, it's just I care. And so after that, you don't have anything in there. It's a shoreless ocean behind the back of your eyes. You see, you're not interpreting things anymore. And now you have exceptional brain function.
When you say I am, means I care.
Yes, that's what. I means empty, right? Like we said, 50%. Because why? Because you're a stellar space. I is stellar space. We just said that's I is witnessed your birth. Yes, it did. It did because all the living, and they hold this, and they hold that in the ether.
I am.
That is what
means
is your
I care.
It's I, and it's forever. It's eternal, and that's the part of ourselves which is eternal. And you and I, we experience this if you've got your VMAT gene right, your VMAT2 gene. Your VMAT2 gene is your God gene. You've got your 1p36 gene also. Now that the genome or project all has marked out exactly every single molecule and in its sequence of protein.
Can you break that down for me? I'm still puzzling on that. Still thinking about what you just said. I am. I care.
Yeah. So magnetic energy comes in from the very northern stars to your brain. And Taurine and Taurus is the exact shape of Taurine. And so magnetic energies pass through these star system as the ones that travel with us versus the others are not. I mean, they're in the same tidal pool as ourselves. And so our northern stars, energy comes into our Earth through these northern stars, and it modifies that to be of a dimension that's Taurine that makes up the various amino acids that actually run your brain. And so unless you've got H3O2, you've got osmolytic element, and you've got like ceramic substance, which gives you like a far infrared capacity, you're never going to have the proper 5% that you're supposed to have of H3O2, because all disease only falls because the body suddenly didn't have H3O2. But if you give H3O2 now, what have you
David,
got? You've got 1.5
David, we're going to break for session here. We'll be right back with you, and I just want to leave you with this little thought. I am, I care. When Jesus walked the planet, he used to say, I am. Back with you in one moment.
Welcome back to America's favorite doctor and nurse radio show, where we are discussing the medical issues of the day.
This segment of MD Stork Report is brought to you by Peak Health. If you'd like to speak with our doctors, call 702-733-5968 or email us at afdnradio@gmail.com.
Good morning. So our continuing Stork Report is really focused on the developing baby, and the very important part is actually even the environment or the mental state of the parents that conceive this baby. It has been demonstrated that the frequencies that have been sent from those parents when they conceive the child, it has long-lasting effect. So if that baby was wanted and conceived with love and happiness, this child is born with those frequencies. On the contrary, if there was any malice, anger, bitterness, negative frequencies, that baby also receives that. So it's very important when people are considering having children that they are very much in the spirit, in the frequency of love and joy and happiness, looking forward to have this child in their lives. So for all those future parents, for all those who have influence, please make sure you have positive energy, positive desires that this baby is wanted in your life. Otherwise, you have created a damaged child whose brain is affected so much, and heart and everything, by the love it felt when it was conceived and brought into life, because the two people in their thinking, in their creating, have affected that child. So remember, your positive energy, your thoughts are so powerful. Do not take it lightly. Your thoughts create reality. Thank you.
And welcome back to America's favorite doctor and nurse with my guest star, Mr. David Jubb. He is a neurobehavior physiologist. David, are you there?
Yes, mate. Yeah.
Listen, we have been doing this. We have been doing this show for quite a little while now.
Yeah.
And I have to admit that through your vocabulary and your knowledge, you have literally and physically left my sidekick Zach and he's in the dust. It's like he's taken. He's on vacation right now or something. It's like you left them in the dust. I swear. Zach, are you still with us?
I'm trying to come back to earth.
Okay.
Yeah, that's our listeners to be so sensitive and be receptive. The brain's only receptive, isn't it? But at the age of 6, before it, you could easily pick out a stereogram. It's so unbelievable. But after that age,
yeah, you were saying that.
Sure, yeah, that someone can't pick the pattern out anymore. Why? Well, because the schooling caused the brain to only be narrowing down and develop the left hemisphere, which is an on-off type of processing, which is lexical only. And we've got lots and lots of lexical understanding, which is really okay, good. But it's not. Why? Because it doesn't have the vestibular sense in it yet, which is the integrative element in behaviour. That's forward, back, up and down. And so emotional dysregulation really is because the vestibular system is not being used correct. So rather than going forward, toward, which is when you're associated towards something in language, so every single thing that you say, like, for instance, I say, I love you. Okay. Now, if I say this in another way, you're going to modify it. Yes, you are. It's not going to be the same. Guess what? You cannot say it better than I love you. Okay. So because everything that you say, like love right there, is the subject. That's the subjective noun is you, because it's the last word. What happened to everything before that was a modifier. And now what was that? I. Wow.
I have there's a lot of sides to David Jubb here.
Well, language is a math, exactly, and actually smart contract will come to work with us. We work with that, and we're customer-based and no longer service-based. Service-based is ridiculous. It's really off, and it doesn't have any quorum sensing in the system at all, you see? Yes? So that's truly...
It's one that most follows the service-based. Listen, I agree with you as to you could possibly be what you think. You understand? And I agree with you as to how strong the human brain is. I mean, it's astronomical. But when one carries let's say they have cancer, David, can you think yourself out of it? Can you grow out of it? Can you make your body rid it?
50% of yourself has to do that. If you don't, sorry, you're not going to get that 78%.
And how do you get that 50% to occupy? The other 50% is switching the DNA back off aerobic glycolysis back to oxidative metabolism. Very simple, and you can do that by 1.5 to 4 volts. So down on a floor where antiseptic was put, it cleared away mold, fungus, and yeast because it had between 1 volt and sometimes 1.5 volts. Okay, which is like from a chloride molecule or a sulfur molecule or a hydrogen molecule. But it must be, for instance, for in our body, a dioxygenase. That's the most powerful substances on the earth. So, for instance, like let's say you got a lot of money and, you want something that can help you get rid of any disease. And now you're looking for the most powerful substances, enzymes on the earth. And where can you find them? I can tell you where you can. It's going to have rhodium, osmium, and ruthenium in it, yes, because it's so necessary. You cannot break down anything without rhodium. And that's why it hovers between a price of $9,000 to $27,000 an ounce. It's like crazy. And why is it that Cadillac converters, all these sort of things are so sought after? Texas just scored.
Rhodium. But, that's my specialisation. I sort of really understand that big time since 1978. Why? Because I needed to make a substance that could cross through your membrane of your body, and it would be osmolytic, and I have studied this since 1978. So you think actually I really have investigated this? I'll be...
Well, did I lay the seed too weak on my part that when I said, cancer? It seems to be that you know a lot about cancer or how to get...
plastic condition. That's right. And if you have cortisol, none,
yes.
What is that?
Yeah.
Because now that cortisol is not going to be feeding cancer. If you stop feeding the cancer nitrogen, how good is that? If you bring substances in like a nitrogenated terpinated compound, it activated by blue light, it'll continuously pump positive, south positives into the structure, and everything that's chit and resonance.
Well, I heard you say a minute ago about oxidation. So I believe that an oxidated body is a cancer-free body. David, we are live. You know that, and we have a live caller. So let's bring him in on the show. Bob, welcome to the show.
Hello, Rocky. Question. I heard in the beginning they was talking about carbon dioxide levels necessary for proper function of the brain and the body.
Yes.
Could you I
very important.
Don't really understand.
How amazing. There's an oxygen carbon dioxide dissociation curve in physiology, you see? Yes, what does that mean? It means that hemoglobin just loves carbon. It hates oxygen. Okay, we just use those words. Okay. Why? Because it loves carbon. Why? Because we lived in a world which carbon was massive amount and which you need. Now we live in an environment which there is no carbon, none. Now, because there's no trees.
Yes, I was just going to interrupt there.
Things. Okay, but so there's no shade. Shade creates carbon.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the primary thing that's missing. We have a relation with trees, and we're plant-based. There is not a single DNA in our body that can break N-glyconuraminic acid down. That's a surfactant that comes from cows.
It is all about the trees, David. It's I know you said shade, but buildings create shade.
Your mind can go toward life food, which is one word, which every culture has a name for live food, which if you listen, it means live food in English. It's like Java. It's very old.
The caller wants to know exactly the benefits of what you had mentioned earlier. How does that play into the existence of a human?
We have first an awareness, as we were talking above, consciousness itself, which is only 7 plus or minus 2 chunks of information, and then awareness is over top of conscious or wakefulness. Wakefulness is a limited phenomenon, of course. Dreaming and deep sleep is too, but when H3O2, which is oxygenated water, is present in your body, it has 2 oxygen molecules, and the only way that can happen is you've got 3 hydrogen atoms. And now, when your body is fully like that, your hemoglobin has got a proper surface tension, perfect, exact. It's 59.63 dyne. It's like a level. It's like incredible. It's like, but water is very, very heavy and it's thick, and you can't do nothing with it. It won't go anywhere. But when it's reduced of its surface tension, you really can. So you've got an oxygen dissociation curve, which if you stop breathing right now, you're going to live a long, long time. Have you ever thought about one breath run across a bridge? Now you're into athletic department. If you're not breathing like a rabbit, going to breathe off all your carbon dioxide, like breathe through your nose through your sleep, and you're going to have a long life.
Sure.
If you don't, you're going to be breathing through your mouth like a rabbit. You're going to be breathing off all the carbon dioxide. And so what happens is the body doesn't have any carbon, and so the hemoglobin's coming along to the body, and it goes, have you got any carbon? And it says no. And it says, okay, so, well, I can't give you any oxygen, because if you do, good. And it comes to a cell, it goes, I got some carbon. Why? Well, because the breath was quiet.
It sounds like you could almost be PR for, hydrogen water.
Yeah, well, when you have this, your placenta, and when you're born, and the amniotic sac is built out of good integrity. Actually, it's got a pink color. You can't put your fingers through it, not at all. But guess what? Eat a lot of bread, eat a lot of, carbohydrates, heavy protein, and guess what? Pancreas is going to have cystic fibrosis. You see? I partnered up with a bloke who's behind the ceramic, which Philip Wilson. This ceramic is incredible. Why? Well, because you're going to get a radiance, and instantly, 5 minutes, you're going to have no pain. No matter what you've got, 5 minutes, you're going to have no pain. Why? Because it creates H3O2. So when you put life hydrate in your water, simple, you create H3O2, and suddenly your body has its nociceptive system corrected. What's that? It means all the information is passing through your connective tissue is normalized.
Got it. We're going to break for a minute from one of our sponsors. We'll be right back with you.
To find out more information about upcoming shows and guest visits, America's Favorite Doctor and Nurse.com.
With me? Back to America's Favorite Doctor and Nurse. I had to see if Zach was still with me, breathing.
No, I was just thinking about how we need to get David a show on the Strip. I mean, he's telling us he was a magician at one point. He can read everybody's body language, hypnosis. So.
Come alive, yes. Just in this moment, I've come alive really more. I really care about things, and I really protect the Commonwealth nation and Commonwealth countries. And I'm here from the state of Victoria, which is a nation, just the same as Nevada is. And both nations, honest to God, were connected by rock in the past.
Well, listen.
Incredible matter of fact that the signature is exact. You see,
a prisoner of our medical health. How do you break out? How do you get out of that imprisonment?
Well, first, all of us need to be focused on what you can do yourself, and we do this by bringing in live food. Second, you become more eye-aware.
Definition of live food.
It's got enzymes, it's plant-based, it's got no strange undigestible protein in it.
Are you talking about being a vegan here, being a vegetarian? Are we talking about diet here?
I just defined it. Yeah, I just defined it.
Got it.
It's actually designed to be a condition to be easy to digest, first of all. So that could be provided some preparedness, which can sometimes need blanching.
Are you what you eat?
We certainly are what we eat. There's no question that you cannot be not.
So you bring in the demeanor of the mindset and the hormones of the food you're digesting.
Yeah, if you bring in a hunger and a thirst for idea and that this is food and that's not anything to pass your lips.
So being a vegan or a vegetarian is sort of like to a real man is like eating like Bambi. So do you become Bambi then?
Well, everybody knows that when somebody just had vodka, they loved it, and that's all they drank, and they were drunk all their life, and they lived a long life. And they had pizza and coffee, that's it. That's all they did. They lived a long life because they were not a glutton. Right. And how did they survive? 26 grams of protein is being produced in your intestine.
Well, we were talking about your diet versus your demeanor, your lookout on life, and etc.
Yeah. We're designed to stop thinking you need food, stop, honest. But
that's an interesting statement.
You do it careful and caring because you need minerals. And where's that? That's got to be amphoteric, amphiphilic, and permittivity.
Well, let's talk about what you just said.
For a mineral,
the mind needs to stop thinking about food. So, is it the what we got out there now is sugar? Is the fix on?
No. That's an ideal one because you and we have the massive energy to see if something can turn into hydrogen, like you point out. Sugar, or if you want to call it SHUGA, like sugar, which, it's an old word. It's massa. It's a very old word, sugar. But sugar is hydrogen, okay? Hydrogen, so protein can break down to hydrogen, which it does through glycolysis, which is crazy. That's cancer. Fat can break down into glycolysis, which it does through glycolysis, which is
why the increase in obesity?
Fat and protein got nothing to do with hydrogen whatsoever.
Nothing to do with sugar?
None. Nothing.
Nothing to do with sugar.
Who wrote that book, Sugar Blue, honest to God, and a bulldust artist, honestly, and he took a little bit of what I said, and then they wrote the book Sugar Blues. That's so wrong. It's like, God help us.
So sugar is not the number one enemy. Is that what you're saying?
Totally. Let's no longer be a pry daughter of your brain, if you're listening, or a pry son. Let's no longer listen to words stupidly.
I got you now. I want to go here with you now. So what is the number one enemy to the body getting in a situation of obesity?
Policy. You and I not creating proper public policy. When I was in New York, I got rid of essential trans fatty acids out of the diet. I got trees planted, and also, too, I was one person who primarily is behind.
So obesity is a result from trans fats?
It's because you've got fat takers. You've got beavers that were just piled up with dead bodies to take their skins, and they were sent off to Europe. Sorry, that's a fat taker. That's called Wasichu. The oldest living people were plant-based. You go back 10,000 years and look at coprolitic study, what's that? That's poop. That's poop. You're looking at poop from 10,000 years ago, plus you're looking at bodies in bogs and stuff. And now, what can you find? You're going to find this.
I don't think I'd feel well if I had 10,000-year-old poop.
Element in food that was brought in every 3 months. We don't do that today at all.
Now, for my listeners, I have physically met Mr. David Jubb. And
it's not Mr., by the way. I know this is the first time in my life anybody's called me Mr.
I see.
It's okay, because Mr. means you're a slave servant monkey. And the same dog or some other stupid word in front of your name. It's a stupid word because I'm just like Jubb David, one word.
I see.
Jubb David. And it's sort of I'm a man. So you could say I'm talking to a man. not a Doc Hall.
Well, listen, Jubb. Listen, Jubb. Yeah,
that's it.
I'm going to try to be nice here, you know.
No, everything is so nice, Rocky. Help us. It's exciting for people.
I want to know, point blank, how one gets out of their imprisonment of their one health.
Yes.
Of their own bad health situation.
Yeah,
is it totally mind control?
Yes,
it is.
By moving into your nonverbals.
Your nonverbals?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Like what I just said at the start of the show. I said, stop all your lexical bull dust. Stop your rationalization right now. Yes, why? Well, because it's like one hand clapping. Just put that. It's stupid. Go ahead. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I love that. One hand clapping.
Yeah, one hand clapping. I wrote a book, One Hand Clapping. That's it. Yeah.
You not only educated, Jubb, but amusing.
Yes, David. So
it has to be.
Where would I go to read on more information, more research, so I can learn how to break out of my prison?
Heat and cold shock protein is what my specialization is. Heat and cold shock protein.
Do you have a website?
JubbDavid.com, just like we talked about.
JubbDavid.com.
One word, a noun, not two words to make it fictional. A pronoun. No, it's one noun. It actually is definable, but we could use words that's definable. And I guess what? This program is the first program that has the word is in it so much.
So those listeners out there, I want you to understand that David Jubb is one word. David Jubb. Not a first word, not a last word. David Jubb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jubb David.
JubbDavid.com.
Yeah, Jubb David.
I'm choosing the first to be Jubb and David, the given name, to be the last, which is the most powerful. Thank you so much. It's like, but it's just like in a word, one word, you see, because what's first modifies what comes after it. You and I, we have a choice to choose it. You've got a real true name and you've got a fictional name too. And we're all getting bull dusted because you've got a fictional name, see? Just like the trumpet man, you see? Or even Just in Time upstairs, all these people. They're all getting the runaround.
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Because they've got a corpse above them, and you and I don't. Sorry, a man doesn't, okay? A man is the most powerful, or woman. Our species is woman. You do not have a more powerful word in our language.
So what you're saying is you teach and train the mind to break free of your bad health.
Yes, because why shouldn't you stick up for yourself? You see, why should there not be consideration? You've got to have consideration. Why should there not be actual transparency with everything? Absolute. There should be. There is no reason why ageism should exist, because that's like, oh, yeah, you're going to die at 60 and it's designed like that because the corporation did that, because that's actually just like designed to actually decide what would be more productive, and you're just being a human mineral and being mined for your energy. Don't tell me that there's a lot of jobbery, and what's that? Pretending to give a service for some financial gain. We don't need to live in a world like that in positive economic inductance, which we're supposed to have, and that's a republic of peace. That's not in some military industrial complex. What the bloody hell is that? That's just like President Trump and the trumpet man and everybody just been run over. Please, excuse me. This was stupid. Listen to what's being said. If you select something from a bin, that's true. You select, don't you? But you don't elect. What the bloody hell is elect? Elect is some political pact that does it from a business. And where did you get that man from? No, you didn't. He never came from anywhere except from money.
Yes,
and when money is the god, bugger you and bugger everybody else. It's the worst sign. That's usury. And ever since it was instituted in Europe again,
Jubb David, I want to thank you for being on the show this morning. It was a real pleasure. Very educated. Thank you for that comment. Zach?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I learned a whole lot today. I'm trying to still come back to earth from all of the information you gave me. But I'll think about it, and I'll see you guys next week on America's favorite doctor and nurse, the #1 medical news radio show.
Till next time, may the health be with you.